Part 2 of how my boyfriend got away with touching his own little sister. My boyfriend's in the bathroom and his little sister tells me that she plays this game called Dress Up that he taught her. You strip butt-ass naked. You let the person you're playing with dress you up. Obviously, my mind went south. I didn't know if I should have told her in that moment if it was wrong and not normal because I didn't want her to freak out before I got the chance to help her. So I asked her, how many times have you played this game with your older brother? She tells me that she plays it all the time and that she really likes it. So now I'm thinking he has completely groomed her. She thinks this game is completely okay. My boyfriend comes back in the room and we finish the night off watching a bunch of movies. I didn't know what else to do. So I leave his house and then the next day I call him and I ask him about this little game. The first thing he does is get mad, says that she's young and dumb and doesn't know what she's talking about, that it's wrong of me to just falsely accuse him of things like this. So he breaks up with me. I didn't really care, but I was thinking about his little sister, that I needed to get back into that house so I could ask her more questions. So I begged for him back. Even though I didn't really like him, I told him that I believed him, that I wanted to come over so we could work things out. This is what happened when I went to his house. Part 3 of how my boyfriend got away with touching his own little sister. So he breaks up with me after I tell him what his sister told me about this game that they play where you strip completely naked. Yeah, that game. Me not having enough proof to take it to the authorities just yet, I begged for him back so I can go over to his house again, get more info from his little sister. For some odd reason, when I went over to his house, his little sister just wasn't anywhere to be seen. Me and him are sitting in his room watching a movie, and he goes to the bathroom. I see his little sister peek her head through the door. I'm like, hey, come here. She seems super excited to see me, and she tells me, Mom and Dad told me I couldn't talk to you anymore. So I ask her why, and she says that they told him that I was a bad person and I make up lies about people, including her older brother. So I ask her what lies I made up. She says they didn't tell her. Now I'm thinking, so the parents are in on it too. So I continue to ask her questions about this game that they play. I'm like, have you told your parents? She says yes, she's told her parents, that they didn't see anything wrong with it. That's just another reason for her to think that it's okay. So that's when shit goes south and her parents walk in. Part 4 of how my boyfriend got away with touching his own little sister. My boyfriend's little sister tells me that their parents know about this game that she plays with her older brother, where they strip completely naked. So as she's telling me more and more, her parents walk in. It was the first time I disrespected somebody in their own home. They start yelling at her for not staying put where they told her to stay put. That way I couldn't talk to her. That's when I snap and I start going off on her parents. And how I know that their son is touching their little daughter and they're not doing anything about it. And that I'm not afraid to report them. And her parents go ballistic. It's also when my boyfriend gets out of the bathroom. Mom comes up to me and tries to smack me. Dodged it. Then she's yelling and screaming at me to get out of her house. It's kind of a hard situation because I knew that if I called the police, I would have no proof of anything. I would necessarily be trespassing since they told me to get out. That little girl can't speak for herself. They groomed her. She thinks it's okay. I wasn't gonna leave that little girl in that house, so I stood my ground. That's when my boyfriend grabs me. The dad grabs me. They pick me up. I can't even make this up when I say that they threw me out their front door. Part 5 of how my boyfriend got away with touching his own little sister. So after I confront the parents about it, my boyfriend and his dad both pick me up and they chuck me out their front door. They go back inside and then my boyfriend comes out again and throws my purse at me. My heart was torn to shreds because I knew that there was nothing that I could do. I didn't have enough proof of anything and I knew that I could not get back into that house ever again. Now I can't talk to that little girl. But I went ahead and reported them to Children's Services anyways. They said the most they could do was a well-being check. Obviously they didn't see anything wrong in the well-being check because nobody in that household was going to admit what really happened. And I also know it went well because after they threw me out of their house, my boyfriend had blocked me completely on all social medias, but I still did have his friends on social media. I saw one of his friends post a Snapchat at his house with him and his little sister in the background, which means that little girl never got taken out of that house. I also made sure to tell all of his friends, but everybody just thought that I was lying and trying to falsely accuse him. So there was nothing that I could do. Here's another toxic ex-best friend story time. So me and this girl became friends through a play that we were doing in school. The plays in my school were always mad funny, so everybody on set was really cool. We hit it off like this. She offered to drive me home after the rehearsals and the practices. We would always go to get coffee after our practices, but after doing that for a while, we just started hanging out after school. Well, eventually we got close and I invited her to this slumber party that I was having. Should've never done that. And here's why. I also invited my boyfriend of 5 months and my other close friends. We were all having a really good time, you know, busting it down, throwing it back, talking shit, playing games, whatever. We specifically talked a lot of shit about her ex-best friend. We, as in everybody at the slumber party. Emphasis on we. Keep that in mind. At this point, it was getting really late. It was like 2 a.m. I ended up dozing off and falling asleep. Now, I woke up to some very slight clapping. And so I turn around. I see my best friend doing the spread eagle on my boyfriend. Like for part 2. Part 2 of my toxic ex-best friend story time. I wake up because I hear some clapping and I turn around. I see my best friend doing the spread eagle on my boyfriend. Busted wide open. No remorse. None. So my best friend at the time sees me looking at them, giving me a very much, "Oh, you wish that was you, huh?" look. You're probably wondering what was going through my mind at that moment. While murder wasn't on my mind, surprisingly, I had another plan. So once my boyfriend notices that I'm awake, he tries to push her off of him as if he wasn't just doing what he was doing, and tries to apologize, saying things like, "Oh, I didn't know what I was doing. You were asleep. I just couldn't help myself." You know, just a bunch of bullshit. And so I'm like, y'all putting on a show with the amazing actress that I am? Not gonna let me join? You know I always get the lead roles in the plays. Come on. Mind you, I was basically completely over my boyfriend at this point. I already started losing interest in him. This basically just did it for me. So I'm like, hello, lights, camera, action, let's get it going. And so I start to go down on him. Then I just take a big old bite right from his. Part 3 of my toxic ex-best friend story time. Well, like I said, I wake up from my own slumber party and see my best friend and my boyfriend getting it in at like 3 a.m. in the morning. I asked to join, and then I took a chomp out of my boyfriend's 𝙤𝙤𝙧𝙚. And not only did I do that, but right after I took that big ass bite, I turned to my best friend, bit her titty. Now we were all equal because now they're feeling the pain that I'm feeling. So now my boyfriend's mad, my best friend is crying. And I can't lie, I loved to see it. The tears rolling down her face was just, there's something about it. Just made me want to. Anywho, obviously I kicked them out of my house. I need to realize that I had bought my boyfriend a gift. It was over like $500 and I wanted that shit back. So I pulled up to his house and his mom answered the door. So I'm like, how you doing, Miss 𝙤𝙤𝙧𝙚? I am here to get my money from this man. He did end up giving me back the gift. Getting a lot of texts from my best friend at the time. She was just trying to apologize, trying to make it seem like she really felt bad or something. After I completely ignored her and left her on red, she went ahead and posted a video of her on top of my boyfriend. You can see me sleeping next to them in the video. Part 4 of my toxic ex-best friend story time. So like I said, I kicked my boyfriend out and my best friend out after I saw them sleeping together at my slumber party. One day I started getting flooded with texts, and then I get sent a video that my best friend posted of her on top of my boyfriend, and you can see me sleeping in the video right next to them. Obviously, I was 1, embarrassed, and 2, thinking of an escape plan for when I have to escape from jail. I'm just kidding. I wanted to be petty, but I decided to take the smarter route instead. I didn't even bother texting her or saying anything to her at all. I just screenshotted all the videos that she was posting from her account. Not to mention she captioned it, "Couldn't even keep your man, sis. Didn't even want him." Anywho, she also posted a video of a voice recording of us all talking shit about her ex-best friend. All of us were talking shit, but she said in the caption that it was just me. Well, my other close friends were there and they vouched for me that it wasn't just me. So she just looked dumb. And I just ended up telling the school what happened. I brought other people who saw what happened for proof, because having the pictures in my phone would get me in trouble. And so she ended up getting expelled and got charged for having and spreading child pornography. This is part 2 of my quick story time, and please listen because I need advice. Like I said, I go over to my white boyfriend's house for the first time, and the first thing I see is a Confederate flag. I don't know why I was surprised. Now that I think of it, I should have expected that. Then his mother approaches me with scissors, cuts off a piece of my hair, then she pulls away and says, jokingly, "It's like we have an intruder." Once I started looking around even more, I started noticing some things these white folks had, and I quote, "Negro collectibles." Let me tell y'all about this shit. Y'all see this? Yep, that's Negro collectibles. Here's another one. Basically, they collect racist items. I know about those collectibles. My mama always told me, watch out for the people that own that shit. I was in the sunken place. Those are them serial killer white people. Obviously, her cutting off my hair and seeing those collectibles set off my fight or flight. Guess which one I chose? Not flight. I snatched the scissors out of her hands. I'm aiming it at the racists, telling them to stay back. So she calls out for her husband and he brings a rifle. Part 3 of my quick story time, and please listen all the way through because I need advice. So I'm at my boyfriend's house. His mom cuts off a piece of my hair, and I look around the house and I'm seeing Confederate flag mat, racist collectible items. Well, after she cuts off a piece of my hair, I was ready to fight. I grabbed the scissors out of her hands and aimed it at her and my boyfriend. I told him that they could both get it. And she tries to hit me with the, "I know you're not threatening me in my own home." I was threatened as soon as I walked into your home. Who approaches a black person with scissors and you literally collect racist items and have a Confederate flag? Bring your grandma up here. I'ma threaten her too. She calls out for her husband and he brings out a rifle. So I try to make a run for it to my car. Well, she throws the pieces of my hair that she cut off at me and says, "And you can take your naps with you." I'm not even hearing her. I get into my car and put the keys in, child. This crazy old white lady grabs the rifle from her husband and starts banging my car with it. That bitch thought I was playing with her. I wasn't. I ran her ass over twice, forwards and backwards. I was not playing with that crooked tooth bitch.